So my twin brother and I have a very large, nice collection of New Edge Mustangs. The 2001 to '04 is what they all are, the 99 to '04 body style, known as the New Edge cars, SN95s. And for us, this started back in high school when we got our 97 Mustangs. We each had one, they were matching cars, 1997 V6 5-speed cars. Very grateful to have those. We love them. Our parents kept these cars for us while we served missions for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as missionaries. And we came back and the Mustangs were still there. They kept them in their hangar, they kept them in the garage of the house. And we were just really grateful to have those cars. So we were just starting out and we each got married and it was time to start looking for a family car. When I got married, my wife had a 94 Saturn, and we were grateful that she had a car and I had my Mustang, which I was very, very proud of and happy to have and glad that I still had. And I got to the point where I really didn't like even paying for oil changes and to put gas in that Saturn. To me, I felt like it was a waste of gasoline to put it in a car that I really did not like to drive. I really don't mean to be ungrateful, but if I'm paying insurance and gas and oil changes and everything into this car and possibly future repairs, I was at the point where I thought I would like to get something different that I enjoy driving and enjoy putting money into. And of course, I wanted a V8 Mustang. I really wanted a Mach 1 or an '03 Cobra. Those were the cars I really, really wanted, but at the time I'm just starting out, just getting married, and that was the best choice of my life. I love my wife. We are extremely happy together, and that is totally fine that I sacrificed not getting my dream cars at the time so that we could get married. And while we had the Saturn and we were just recently married, we rode around in her sister's Lexus IS350. It was beautiful. I really, really loved that car. I thought that would be the perfect family car, although it was very expensive at the time. In today's market, a car like this that was $36,000 with inflation would cost about $50,000 today. So it was a really expensive car, and I didn't ever expect to have something like that right after getting married. And so I started thinking about cars I liked, and my brother was into the 3 Series BMWs, and he was thinking of getting one of those, and I really liked the Lexus IS300. I remember when this car debuted in yellow, and I saw it on TV in 2001 when I was 16 years old, and I thought, wow, that is a really cool car. Obviously it wasn't a muscle car, Mustang, the things that I really, really wanted, but for a family car or a nice car, I thought that would be a really good car. So I started looking into those because this was 2007, so that car was about 6 years old now, which is still pretty new, to me at least. And so my wife and I looked around, and there were a few on the car lots locally that were really expensive, and we were able to find a very nice silver 2001. They made these all the way to '05, and we really liked it, so we went ahead and bought this car. We paid $11,000 for it with 95,000 miles on it, and it was a really great car. It was something that we really wanted to have and enjoy together, and the payment was like $150 a month. And like I said, with inflation, it was a little more tight than you would think, but it was doable. And so we started enjoying having vacations in our Lexus, and we took it up to northern Utah. There's some snow up there. The car actually came from northern Utah. But this was a time when I was younger, no kids or anything, and I really liked collecting watches. So I bought the Nixon watches. This is my Banks. If you're familiar with any of these, they're really cool watches. I had a very nice collection of them. This is the Superhero SS I really liked, and the Rotolog, which I thought was kind of cool. So I was kind of enjoying these watches, and one of them that I bought actually looked like the gauge cluster on the Lexus IS. I thought that was pretty cool. And so that kind of just gives you an idea of what life was like for me at this time. I did not have all the Mustangs I have today. I was very happy just starting out, living in an apartment with my wife. We took the Lexus down to Vegas, go on little road trips. We went up to Bryan Head, Utah, which was a very beautiful place to go and enjoy time together and enjoy our new Lexus. And just have little vacations and time together. And we also had our first baby, and that was the reason we needed the Lexus, was to have a family car. So the family car came first. Even though I have all these Mustangs, that's where it all started, and I was very excited to get this car. And I thought, let's put it to the test and see if it lasts, because everyone talks about how good Toyotas are, and 95,000 miles wasn't too high, but still, it was getting up there. So I thought, well, let's see how this car goes for us. We'll see if it's reliable and low maintenance and everything like people say. So I took really good care of the car, always did Mobil 1 5W30 full synthetic, oil changes on time, and the car was fantastic. I did change the transmission fluid in it just by undoing the line and pumping it through and adding the new fluid instead of doing a flush, and the car seemed to be perfect. I really didn't have any problems with it at all. The only problems with the car were just cosmetic things that the previous owner had done to it. So this is one of my favorite pictures of the car at Lake Powell. We took it out there with friends to go stay on the houseboat, and it was fun to have a good, reliable, nice luxury car to drive around. And so looking at the car, it was a very nice car. It was in great shape. You can see a couple of those cosmetic things in these pictures here, like you can see down here by the fog light where the bumper was scuffed. It might have even been punched through a little bit. And then my brother one day said, "Hey, when did this happen?" And I looked over and noticed the wheel well had a little crunch in it. I think somebody in the parking lot had turned into it. It was during Christmas shopping. We went a million places, and I think somebody bumped it and didn't tell us. As far as modifications go, I didn't think they sounded very good with aftermarket exhausts or anything like that, so I left it alone. I just wanted a nice, quiet family car. But I did get another set of the wheels. They're the exact same wheel that the car has on it, but the later ones got kind of a darker gray color ones, which looked nice. So I had one of each set, and I kept nicer tires on one set, so when we went on road trips, we would switch the wheels out and take those. As a matter of fact, when I was introducing myself again onto the new Facebook Lexus page, there was a really nice guy named Chad who has a yellow and a red IS300, and we talked a little bit about the wheels, and he has a set of each of them on each of his cars. So this is a good example of the differences between the wheels, and I owned one set of each of those for my car. So there you have the standard wheels on the left, and I believe the graphite ones on the right. And those were really cool wheels to have. I really like the design. So my wife and I enjoyed a lot of vacations in this car, and we invited my friend and his wife to join us on the open road and take the IS300 on a neat trip to Reno and then down to San Francisco and back. And so we visited the little Alien, and this is near the Area 51 site. It's a really popular place to go. It's in the middle of nowhere in Rachel, Nevada. And so here's the Lexus parked out there looking great. And it was just so nice to have a reliable new car to drive around. This was on the ET highway, or the extraterrestrial highway. So my friend and I were enjoying that, and I had the camera, so I was taking a few pictures of the Lexus while I was out there. Now this was before Instagram or YouTube or any of the things that I did on social media, so having a few pictures of the car was actually pretty nice. But I didn't have a really nice camera on my phone, so whatever I took pictures of was lucky to make it into my photo collection. Now looking at the car, I noticed the clear reflector on the rear bumper. That was something that was broken off on the car originally. When I bought it, they had a piece of red reflector tape in there, and so I had bought the clear ones. And so every time I had looked at the IS300s, I noticed how mine had the clear ones, and it helped me remember which one was mine. And so I remember stopping at a gas station, getting a cold drink, and it was really hot as we traveled through California, and the car did a fantastic job. The whole way we're cruising, I'm just thinking about how nice and reliable the car was and how it wasn't giving us any trouble at all. And it was a great trip. And so here's just some random pictures along the way. We also took it at night to go visit a couple of the temples. I believe that this was the Reno temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was really nice to go there. This was just me playing around with a night shot on the camera with the moon. It may have still been in a weird camera mode because some of my pictures came out weird later, but this is staying at the condo in Donner Lake. My uncle had just bought his brand new '09 Challenger, so That shows you about what the time frame was here. And we really liked going to Donner. It was a beautiful place. And we took the Lexus around and went for a nice little drive up into the mountains with the lake in the background. And I was just very proud to have this nice Lexus and enjoy time with friends and my wife and get to experience that. And again, this is before we had any kids, and so it was a very fun time. So we went to the Reno Hot August Nights, which is a car show where there are a lot of really neat muscle cars. All the casinos fill up their parking lots with muscle cars. It's a really big show. I mean, you see trailers there from New York. People bring their cars from all over. So that's a really cool 70 Mach 1, and there's a 70 Chevelle right there too. So really cool time. Then when we went traveling further down on our trip, we found another IS to park next to when we went hiking near Emerald Bay. And that's near Lake Tahoe, so it was fun to just be around Lake Tahoe. And we also took a trip to the Reno Air Races and took the Lexus to that trip, so that was really fun. So the Lexus was looking great. It was fun to have, enjoyable. We took it to the Oakland Temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If any of you have ever seen that temple, beautiful place. And we continued down to San Francisco. I never had to use a parking meter before. There were just a lot of really neat new experiences and exploration at this time in my life. I remember driving up on top of this parking structure and just trying to find somewhere to park in a big city when we visited San Francisco. And we left the car there, went down. I was hoping it wouldn't get towed or anything. And it was just a really different life because I'm used to small town Utah. And anyway, we went to the Ghirardelli factory, which is in San Francisco, had nice milkshakes and stuff. It was kind of cool. And then visited San Francisco. So I even drove our Lexus across the San Francisco Bridge. So it was fun to actually see the Golden Gate Bridge. It was a very interesting experience. We visited the redwoods with the big trees there, and had the Lexus everywhere we went along the way. Lots of really neat little adventures with the car, driving across a lot of big bridges through California and everything. And so the Lexus had done great. We took the Lexus to Shelby American and visited Mandalay Bay for the Barrett-Jackson and saw the new ZR1 that had just come out. And so that was a pretty cool experience. And at Shelby American we got to go tour the old show museum that was at the old building, so that was pretty cool. And I just loved driving this car. It had really good, neat characteristics about it. I loved the steering wheel. I loved the gauges. I loved just taking it all over the place and going on trips. We went up to northern Utah to visit the Temple Open House up there too. And around town here it doesn't really snow much, but I did get a couple pictures of it the few times it did snow. They don't salt the roads or anything here, but that was kind of interesting to see the car with snow on it. So there's a few pictures of that. And we did take it to go buy my first V8 Mustang, my Mustang Mach 1, which I love very much. So pretty cool road trip just down to Vegas, a couple hours away. It was Boulder City, so probably 2.5, 3 hours away. And so I got my Mach 1, and I was very excited to have my Mustangs, and that's where I started getting into collecting more and accumulating a large amount of Mustangs. Now, at this time, it was about time to go ahead and sell the Lexus, and we needed something bigger for our growing family. It was just getting difficult to travel up to visit family in northern Utah and have the Lexus with a car seat in the back, and then our suitcases, the fold-up crib for the baby, and it just didn't all fit very well. And so we got this really nice 2001 Chevy Tahoe, same year as the Lexus, and it was for sale for like $4,800, and it had 160,000 miles on it. So it was actually the same mileage as the Lexus had when we sold the Lexus. And we were able to sell the Lexus and buy this with the same money. So it was almost just trading the Lexus for the Tahoe. It was actually very interesting selling the car because the kid who bought it had gone to jail the night before he was supposed to come get it, and so he no-showed me, and then he did end up contacting me a few days later, told me he was sorry that he was in jail, he couldn't get to the car, and I was kind of upset, but I still sold it to him because I understood that it was a weird situation. But I saw the car around town, and like I said about the side marker on the back bumper, I could see the clear one and I could identify it was my car, plus the little damage, and the quarter panel was actually starting to peel because it had been repaired once, and I guess I didn't know that until later, and then it started to get lightened up a little bit. But I saw the car around and I felt bad when I'd see it because he really trashed it. It was always filthy. He like spray painted the hood and the deck lid black, like a matte black color, and he hit a deer with it, and every time I saw it, it still had deer blood all over it, and it was just all beat up and destroyed. He had taken like a Sawzall and he cut the bumper on the other side to make his own dual exhaust cutouts and just straight piped it. And it was sad to watch that. And you know, I've seen a lot of the street takeover videos where people would take these IS cars because they're rear wheel drive, and they'd even steal them, or they were their own cars, or get them cheap, and they'd swing them in intersections and crash them into stuff all the time. It's really sad. And those are the kind of stories you hear. You know, someone takes care of something for a long time and then it gets ruined quickly. So I don't know whatever happened to it, but just so you know, because people say, well, why didn't you go seek out your old car and find it and buy it? Well, I really didn't want it back after all that. Plus, I did want the IS350. I wanted to try it out, and that's the car I really wanted. And we still have the Tahoe today. It has 254,000 miles on it, and it's been great as a family vehicle, and we've definitely needed it for towing the Mustangs, camping and going off-road and all that stuff. But I always wanted to look into getting a Lexus IS350 once the prices on those had come down, although I never wanted to sell any of my nicer Mustangs to get it. So I just thought, well, once I'm more established, maybe I can look around when the prices have come down and get it for my wife, mostly for her to drive to work and around town and stuff and get to enjoy a little bit. Also, during this time, my neighbor across the street had bought an IS350 like the one that my sister-in-law had, and he had paid mid-20s for it, so the prices were still up back when I really liked those, so I wanted to wait till they came down in price a little anyway. So now fast forward to today's time, I started looking around, and it took months of looking, and I'd find them in California, but never really any local ones. And then I found out they were harder to find. This is the one that is here local, so as we look at these pictures, I'll just kind of tell you. I couldn't find any 350s. There were tons of IS250s everywhere. I found out they made a lot more IS250s than 350s. The IS350 has 100 more horsepower, and it has the direct end port injection. And you know, that's a very small detail, but the IS250s, if you want to get technical, they suffer from clogged up intake ports with carbon buildup because they're direct injection only. And you know, so I thought, well, I'd rather have an IS350, and I looked around and there were IS250s that I was happy with and I made offers on and I talked to the owners of, but deep down I knew that I wanted an IS350 if I could find one. They were just really impossible to find. And so all of a sudden one day these pictures popped up. They're terrible pictures too, by the way. The guy took terrible pictures, and he was a salesman selling it for his friend. He was an old retired salesman, and he had a golf buddy who wanted to sell his IS350. So he said, hey, I'll help you sell it. So he listed it for sale, and you know, that's another subject. Sometimes I feel like the IS cars are hard to find because the nice ones that older people own won't really pop up on Marketplace. They'll just go to a dealership somewhere, and then you're going to pay high retail for them because older people generally don't like selling things or don't know how to sell things on Facebook. So the ones I was finding were overpriced at dealership for full retail, and so it was making it more difficult to want to buy one as well. But ultimately I found this one, and the day it was listed I went out to look at it, and I went ahead and bought it. And so as we head out here to get the car, I'll give you a few little details about it. It's an IS350, it's 2006. It has 180,000 miles on it, which is a little high, but that's not too far off of what my Lexus had on it when I sold it, and I know that these are very reliable, and I've seen them with way more miles than that on it. So the the things I do like a lot about it are the seats are in perfect shape, the paint's in great shape, but most importantly, it was owned by a very nice older gentleman who has owned the car since 2011, and he had a thick stack of receipts for the car. He had a folder that had all the oil change receipts, everything he's done to the car to maintain it, transmission fluid changes, oil changes, just everything that it needed. I actually added it all up, and it was $12,000 worth of receipts. And so I know the car is in great shape. I mean, you never really know what you're buying until you get there and look at it and drive it. You know, it has a couple little scratches and dings and things in it, but it was a very great car. So here's my wife driving it back. I was really excited. We made 2 trips out there, actually. I went out there first to go check it out, and then I took her back out there to get it, and she drove it home behind me. And so one thing I did notice about the car is the tire size is a little bit off, and the tires are a little lower profile than I like, but I think that makes the speedometer off a little bit. So she was actually going slower, and I was wondering why she was hanging back so far, but it's because the speedometer is reading faster than what it's really going by, about 4 miles an hour. So that also means that it doesn't have as many miles as it says it does on the odometer, but I don't know how long those tires have been on the car. But while we were driving back, we played a little game I like to call Bullet, which goes back to Steve McQueen and the Mustang Bullet, where if you get ahead, you pull off and the other person goes by, and if they don't see you and you go up behind them, then you win. Or if they see you, then they win. So I'm playing Bullet with my wife right here. Wait for her to go by. Oh, there she goes. Now the trick to the game is, if she sees me before I come up behind her, then I lose. But if she doesn't notice me until I'm behind her, then just like Detective Frank Bullet, I win. I come up behind her unnoticed. So the car is very nice. I'm very proud to have it. It functions and works just great. It does have the wheels either painted or powder coated black. Not really my favorite, but it actually looks pretty good. These are my favorite wheels for the IS350. I call them the tuning fork wheels. They were also on the IS250. But the car has been great. The salesman friend, I feel like he was a little pushy and he was really hard to deal with, and he had already turned down a certain amount for the car, which was over book value, so I had to go ahead and cough up a little extra. So I paid more than I probably should have for the car, but I got it for $8,000 when all is said and done, which I think is still a great value. But my friend just showed me one just like it with less miles for about the same price. So you give and take, but this one has really good history on it. A really nice lady named Jennifer on the IS Facebook page said that it looks like the car has the GFX body kit on it, which I think they said they had on theirs since it was new. It's like a dealer install or something. So I did notice it had those flares on the front bumper, and the rear bumper has a little piece on it too, a little overlay there. So kind of cool looking, and it's nice. The car is on coilovers, which I wish it was on the stock suspension, but it does look good, but it's a little low. But and other than that, it has a cold air intake, which I guess is a popular mod for the IS350s for certain reasons, not just performance. But anyway, it's a really great car. I have had to fix a few things on it and play around with it. With my IS300, sometimes I'd turn on the HID headlights and one of them wouldn't light up, it wouldn't come on, and then you turn it off and on and then it would, like the ballast would have some issues. So I looked into taking the front bumper off to take out the headlights and do all that, and it might come to that, but I tried first swapping the bulbs from side to side, and the problem hasn't come back since then. Maybe the connectors weren't tight or something, but the passenger side would sometimes not light, or would light and I drive home and then it was off when I got home. So little things like that. The airbag light was on for the knee area, and the Lexus dealership had diagnosed it and said it needed a new harness. That was all in the paperwork I got with the car from the previous owner. but I just got up underneath there and tucked the harness ends up a little bit, and the light went off. I think it's the connector that's a little bit loose or something. It's just common on these cars. And so once I did that, it hasn't come back since. I know the OBD2 port is down there as well. So I think when people plug that in to that kind of flappy panel under the steering wheel, I think it might tug on that airbag connector a little bit. And somebody mentioned unplugging the connector and putting dielectric grease in there and plugging it back in. That might tighten up the pins and maybe give it a little better connection. And so I've heard people doing different things, but other than that, the airbag light was on since I bought it, and now it's been off the rest of the time. So I did get a check engine light for a rich condition on bank 1, and it put on the traction control and all the different lights and stuff, but I cleared it and it hasn't come back either. So looking pretty good though. Other than that, a very wonderful car. We'll look a little bit at the interior here. Like I said, the seats are in great shape. Door panels have some scratches from the guy's dog, no big deal. The seats are usually torn right there in the center on a lot of them that I saw, so these were looking really good, and it's my favorite color with the dark charcoal or black color. So this was like everything I wanted in an IS350. And I did actually call Lexus about the door panel replacement program. They said it just ended, but if I really pushed, they might be able to get me hooked up with a new dash and door panels, but I don't know if I really need to go through all that. But anyway, the day I bought it, I saw this IS350. My brother said, there is a 350 here in town, and I didn't believe him, so we went and he showed me. And you can see this one, the seats were actually in really good shape. It had similar mileage. The seats in the back looked like they had a car seat in them, so they were kind of a little worse. And then it did have the melty dashboard, worse than mine does. And so, give and take. But for, what it is, it looked like a nice car. It had like a blue dome light, and it had like, an old iPod hook up here and stuff like that. It had the navigation like mine does. Steering wheel was a little more worn out. The paint was peeling. We'll see that here in a second. But I mean, still a really neat car. But yeah, I could just tell that this one was not as nice as the one I just bought, and so I'm very happy with mine. This one had kind of some peeling paint over here on the quarter panel, and so I could tell it's seen a lot more sun than mine has, but still, I mean, cool car. And I couldn't believe it was here. The spoiler was peeling there, and it had this huge abrasion on the back. So not as nice as mine, but it was about the same price as what I paid for mine. So dealerships always ask a little bit more, so that's understandable. But for somebody who gets this car, I'm sure it'll be a nice one. The oil didn't look as clean as mine is. Mine has just been changed, but I mean, just sometimes when you look and it has dirty oil in it, you're not sure if it's been maintained as well. But anyway, kind of cool to see. It has the orange taillights like mine because it's an '06. But anyway, awesome car. I really like it. I've been enjoying it. I drove it to work. We went out and got snacks in it and just started having fun. I did change out the air filter for the cabin air filter, and just wanted to do a couple little maintenance things like that on the car. And just I noticed that the exhaust tips were really filthy and had a bunch of carbon buildup on them, so I cleaned them up here. I had done some polishing before in my time with mobile detailing, so I mean, you could really wet sand and polish these to get them to shine pretty nice, but you can see what it used to look like and compared to what I just made it look like on the other ones. So it just needed some love, and so I did some degreasers, I did some bronze wool, I did some mag aluminum polish, and it turned out pretty good. I mean, they've got some pitting, some rock chips and stuff all over them from the mileage and stuff, but they definitely look a lot better than they did. And so it's pretty cool to see. It looks nice now. And I was going through the neighborhood and I saw two ISs parked here. I believe these people do construction because I've seen them parked at different construction sites. And so pretty cool to see these two friends with their IS cars right in my neighborhood. So I'm extremely happy with this IS350. I think it was well cared for. The maintenance records are great on it. And I think it's going to last a very long time. It shifts perfect. It drives smooth. Everything is great on it. So, it might have a few little things here and there, but I've seen lower mileage ones with the same issues, and I'll just fix what I need to as I go, but I think I got a solid car here. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I usually make Mustang content, but I thought I'd go ahead and do this since it's in my nature to record and document what I do to my cars. So thanks for watching. If you have an IS car or a Lexus of some kind that you really like, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Or if you like these or have some experience with them, let me know too, or any tips or advice. Thanks for watching.